in that trailer or in the film were in our program Ever Forward. So our program got featured in the documentary. The work that we're going to talk about today is taking off the mask. It's how do we build these healthy relationships with our young men. So our program works with middle school and high school students, and we are providing a space for young men to talk about some of the stuff that we don't usually get to talk about. Maybe when you saw the card and I asked you to fill it out, maybe the trailer was really exciting, maybe you didn't pay attention to it, maybe you said, I'm not going to write this on the card. But what is happening with our young men is that they know that there's a way they have to show up in the world, the mask. And there's a part of themselves that they don't get to talk about. So we use the mask as a metaphor for what we show the world about ourselves. And then understanding that if we're clear about what we have to show the world about ourselves, there's a part of ourselves that we don't get to talk about, which is behind the mask. So I'm going to let you, some of you filled it out yesterday, so I gave a few people cards. Some of you filled it out, so thank you for filling that out. I'm hoping that before the conference is over, the rest of you will contribute to this campaign. But I'm going to show you my mask. So the world, what I let the world see about myself, I try is that I'm funny, serious, and hardworking. That's what I try and live under that mask most of the time. But that's what I don't get to talk about, or unless I'm with my men or I'm with the young men who I work with, I get to talk about the other stuff. My deathly, intense fear of police, sadness that just comes up with many things that have gone on in my life, and then missing my father. I was raised by a single mother on welfare. My father died before I was born. No one gave me a choice in that matter. I should be over it by now. But every time I see a father with his son, I still feel that loss, that hole, that wound. So when we work with our young men, we give them a safe space to talk about whatever's going on in their life, knowing that whoever they are and however they show up is okay. That there's nothing wrong with you to feel. But if we tell young men that you can't feel, and then we're living in a society that says men don't show emotion, men don't feel, then they bottle it up until it explodes. And that's why we have 90% of prisoners are men, I believe. And therefore, we believe that that statistic is because we haven't given men a space to feel, to be human. So we do that in a safe space with our young men. The Ever Forward Club started, I was not trying to start a nonprofit. I was never going to even be a teacher. My vision was to make a lot of money and live happily ever after. That's what they told me the dream was. But I graduated as a civil engineer, started making a lot of money, and I wasn't happy. Like I was investing in happiness on the weekends, I was drinking happiness, I was flying to happiness, but I wasn't sustained at the end of the week. And so the work that Ever Forward came out of is when I got called to be a teacher and I left engineering to become a teacher, I was clear that that was the work that I was put on this planet to do. I never wanted it. And so when we created the program, I was not creating a research project. I was not creating some methodology. I was a teacher who saw these young men in my class and I was failing. Like these young men would come to school every day on time and they were doing nothing. And so Ever Forward came out of this idea for me to find out from them, how do I do a better job with you? So I bribed them. I told them, I'll buy you lunch once a week. In exchange for lunch, teach me how to be a better teacher. And that's how the Ever Forward Club was started. So what you see is our theory of change. When young men first come to our program, they go through a workshop called Taking Off the Mask. And they do what you're going to do on that card, hopefully. They talk about this mask and the stuff behind the mask. They join a club at their school. We train a mentor at their school site who works with them weekly. Then the idea of them coming together, building this brotherhood at their school site, it's not us pushing in the work, it's somebody at their school working with them on a weekly basis. They begin to get clear about who they want to be and what they want to do. Howard Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And when we can give our young men a space to come alive and realize they're meant to do way more than what they're doing, they begin to do amazing things. And so that's what's happening with Ever Forward. So I'm going to show you this really quick letter out. So I became a teacher, 11 years, became a vice principal, and one day when we were going to screen the documentary, a young man walked to my office, 11 years old. I met him 2 times maybe. And there's a letter he handed me. Dear Mom, Mr. Branch, and family, I'm planning to kill myself today, tomorrow, the next day. I've been studying what I'm going to do to commit suicide. At first I was going to hang myself, but someone told me there's a way to do it without feeling any pain. And so he goes to tell how he's going to do this. 11 years old, like he's already at his end of his wits and decided, I had enough. I don't know where you've come from and where you've been in your life, but I don't know if you know any young men who are out there doing it in a very different way. They may not come with a letter. They may be smoking and drinking and doing some other behavior. They may be joining some gangs. They may do some self-harming behavior, but our young men are out there looking for somebody to tell they're going through some stuff. And so I'm going to show you some masks, some that we've collected here in Toronto, that we've collected on this campaign in Australia and New Zealand that I just came from these last couple of days. And that's the cards that you're being asked to fill out. So I'm not going to read them. I'm going to just let you look at them. I'm going to flip through them pretty quick. And no matter what community we're in, no matter what state we're in, no matter what continent we're on, our men, our young men, are dealing with some serious stuff. From little boys and 10 years old, 11 years old, to 35 years old, they're clear that there's a way they have to be. And there's a way they can't be if they want to be respected as real men. So here are 2 quotes from 2 different continents and 2 different communities of young men who went through our workshop. When they left the workshop, young men said, I enjoyed listening to my peers express themselves. It was very nice to know that a lot of people were dealing with the same things I was dealing with. That's California. And just a week ago, a couple of days ago, in New Zealand, a young man said, today was a great experience for me. I learned that I'm not alone in this world when it comes to my problems. And so like I said, we created this project not to create data, but there's some numbers I think I should show you. So for adults, when adults draw a mask and on the front of their mask they write the word happy, if they show the word happy on the front of their mask, 7 out of 10 of them on the back usually say they're dealing with some sadness, some fear, and stress. Adults. Now teenagers. If a teenager draws a mask and on the front they use the word happy, I show the world that I'm happy. Over 9 out of 10 of them say that actually I'm dealing with some sadness, some fear, and some stress. So we know that there's a difference between what we can show and we can't show. And so the letter. So that young man, he went away for a couple of weeks. They went and got him some support. And toward the end of the school year, he came back and he brought me a different letter, but I'm going to read this first. Love takes off the mask that we fear we cannot live without and know we cannot live within. When I became an educator, it was out of a desire of love. It was definitely not out of a paycheck. It was definitely not out of some prestige I thought I was going to get. It was like a calling on my life. And so this is the letter he handed me at the end of the year. Thank you letter to Mr. Branch. Dear Mr. Branch, I want to thank you for being there for me. If it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'm clear today more than ever why I became an educator. And maybe just for that one young man who I was able to just be a space for. And so when our young men get a chance to come together, to be with a mentor, to know that they're being seen, they're being heard, we can help them achieve incredible things. We can help them achieve incredible academic success once they desire and believe they're supposed to be something. So our young men we do field trips, activities. I'm going to move on. So these are a few of our young men who got to present at Harvard this year, the Alumni Color Conference. And then we did a workshop. We did Taking Off the Mask workshop at the Bronx International High School. We've been doing the workshop all over the country. And so here's where it comes. Here's where your piece comes in. I'm asking you to sometime today or tomorrow to fill out that card for us, submit it, be a part of the 100,000 masks. We're going to collect 100,000 masks from all over the world, and I don't know what we're doing with it. Like it wasn't designed out of some methodology. It wasn't designed out of some best practices. It was an educator saying, how can I get young people to talk about stuff without talking about it? That's what and 100,000, we made it up. I don't know why I picked 100,000. Could have picked 20 or 100. Like I think I wanted to stretch myself. But I think that as I've been talking, you may have an idea. You may know somebody I should talk to. So there's a piece of paper in the middle of your table. I'm gonna ask you that if you know a website I should be looking at, if you know a researcher I should talk to, if you know a documentary I should check out, if you know somebody I should get masks in the hands of them, if you have a resource for us, please help us with that. Like, I'm sure there's enough wisdom in the room that you all can help us reach more than 100,000. I don't know how to do it by myself, but I'm fully committed to one at a time, walking out into the street, asking people to please fill out this mask. But that's not efficient. That's not effective necessarily. But I'm looking forward to you being a part of this campaign. If you've already submitted a mask, thank you. If not, I'm asking you to participate. And the 100,000 Mask campaign, you can find us on our website. You can find us on Instagram, social media. Please follow us, follow the campaign, see what we're up to. And we look forward to making some change in our community for our young men, because the more we can give them a space to be human, the more we can help them break past those barriers that are holding them back. And thank you very much.